Well, hi, McFly subscribers. So this is what we're going to be tying today. I think it's called the Flashback Foam Ant or something like that. I don't know what the name is specifically, but it's a good pattern. I'm selling 25 of these to a customer fishing the San Juan River out in New Mexico, I believe. This has been working for him. He's been catching quite a few fish, especially in the summer here. So I think I made a video last year on tying this fly as well. But this is just going to be a talking at video rather than what what I did before, which was like the voiceover thing. So let's put the hook in the vise. So by the way, I'm using Risen's Barbless Nymph 9231. Now it's a dry fly, but I am using a nymph. We're using foam here so it can float, and I find that a nymph hook is going to give a little more strength, which you always want more strength. You're not going to bend hooks as easily with a nymph hook. So next, the thread I've got is Vivis 10-aught, and I'm using black. So we're going to start our thread. Doesn't have to be right at the head of the fly here. We're just going to bring this back. You could snap or snip off the waist once you reach the back here. I come back up a wrap or two, get it out of the way, and then I usually break it off, but with the camera in the way, it's hard to break off. So we're going to come back and we are going to build just a slight little thread bump right there and then come forward. Next, we're going to need to cut a little foam strip. So I've got one of these cutters. You could cut this shape out of the foam by cutting a strip and then rounding the edge. You could do that. These cutters make short work of it, though, as you can see. I cut a whole bunch of these, and it took little to no time. Okay, so we're using black 2mm craft foam, and it's hard to see here, but I've got it right to the edge, so that way I don't use up a whole lot of foam, and there's a little space here. I've got the hanging just slightly off the edge, and then you just push that in, and cuts it out. You can use scissors or a bodkin to pull that out, and now you've got a perfect little shaped piece. And you can pre-cut these as many as you need. I'm tying 25 of these, so quite a few along here. I had my son actually try to cut some of these. He messed up on a couple, so I appreciated him doing that. But we wasted a little bit of foam doing it, but he got quite a few good ones for me. So that helped. Cutting these can be a little tough on your wrist if you're cutting a whole lot, okay, because you are pushing down with a little bit of pressure. And I've got carpal tunnel. Fingers are numb. It's been fun. But anyway, so once you cut that foam strip, then you're going to measure this out to maybe about a hook gap, maybe a little more past the bend of the hook here. You could basically just super glue this first, or to really kind of make sure, because that super glue, once you put it on top, that's it. Make sure that that's where you want it. Make a couple wraps. I'm good with the tail, and you can see now I've got a little measurement of where to place that. So I take this Loctite brush on glue and I paint a little on top. That's this stuff here, Loctite brush on. And then you can place this right on top, kind of angled a little bit at you because the thread is going to twist this. You'll learn kind of where to place that. Next, we need some kind of hackle. I'm using brown. This is a saddle hackle by Whiting. And you want something a little smaller than the hook. So this is a size 14 hook. And you want to tie this on so the fibers of the thread are angling rearward. I like to strip off a little bit of the fiber here and just expose the stem, and then I tie it in with an X-wrap. I actually do 2 separate X-wraps and then pinch and tighten, okay? And leave your thread right there, and we are going to just make one total wrap. One, and then we just do a wrap over it, a wrap under, and a wrap back over. wait to cut that off because you want to make sure that this glue doesn't dry. And you come up a little ways and then wrap this on right there. Now I made the wrap did not go straight, and what happened was that made that twist on me. So there we go, that's more of a straight wrap. You want to make sure that your wrap onto foam does not twist. There we go, let's cut this off now. We're moving kind of fast here just to make sure that super glue doesn't dry. And we strip off all the fuzzies. We're turning it so the fibers are angling rearward and not forward. Plus you've got the darker side and then the lighter side. The lighter side goes angling rearward, okay? And then that would be if you have a natural colored hackle. So X wrap, another X wrap, tighten. Okay, and you could cut this excess stem off. I don't think it matters. It actually adds stiffness. And then we're just gonna go ahead and wrap. Now, excuse my daughter in the background. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's got headphones on and singing. All right, so now, once we cut that on, get that on, now we can cut this off. So let's go ahead and pull this back, wrap forward, right into the head of the fly there. And then we're gonna make one more wrap to make just a little bump for a head. Like so. Okay. Next we need some flashback. This can be used for Copper Johns and a bunch of stuff like that. You could also, with this, use like saltwater size Flashabou, although that's pretty stiff. This is a little bit softer and easier to work with, so I think this is a little better. And you want some longer scissors. You're gonna cut a strip, so pretty thin. I'm cutting on the shorter side because this strip here will make 2 wings. As you can tell, this is folded on in the center. Okay, so it made like a little natural right in the center. So I just cut this in half, and that makes 2. And then we fold this in half. See if I can do this right. Roughly, doesn't have to be perfect. We fold that in half, put a little crease there so it stays, and then I cut a little taper at the end, and that'll make it easier to tie in. And once that's prepared properly, as you can see, we've got the tips here. So I like to split either side. It's hard to see there. So I'm splitting either side of the foam and just get the tips in there, and then wrap those tips down real tight. Okay, you don't need a whole lot to grab onto. You just really want to make some really tight wraps, and that's not going to pull out now. Okay, so now you can see those are sticking straight up. Next, you need some kind of hot spot, so that way you can see it on top of the water. You don't have to do this, but I'm using this Parapost wing in fluorescent orange. You could use pink, white, whatever you want. And then we are going to tie in so the end extends to about where the foam piece goes to, or could go a little bit shorter, a little longer, whatever you want. So I make 2 wraps and I pull everything rearward, and I tie back up on top of that and cover. Okay, and then we can leave that there, pull everything rearward, and make a wrap or 2 up by the eye of the hook, and then we can whip finish the fly right underneath the hook. 4 or 5 turn whip finish is good enough. Cut that off, and then we are going to cut the excess post off. Any crazy fibers, cut that off. And then we've got this wing. You could leave it like that, or you could split the wing by just, I like to cut a little angle in the top, and you can see now that that splits it. Then we're going to cut the head a little shorter. Okay, you can leave that longer if you want. You can cut it even shorter. You can cut it completely off if you want. But I like to leave a little bit of a head there. And you can use any head cement here. I turn this upside down, and I like to use this Solarez Bone Dry. It comes with a little handy paintbrush. Because of where we whip finish, we can just paint a little bit on and let that soak in for half a second there. Make sure you don't get any in the eye of the hook, of course. And then we just cure it with our UV light. And it's that quick, and that's ready to go. That's hardened, and that whip finish will not come loose. And there we have it. The finished flashback foam ant fly, I think it's called. You can make these wings a little shorter if you want, a little longer. You can make this body a little shorter or a little longer. This cutter I have is the extra small size. I forgot what they call it, but this is from River Road Cutters. They make some really great tools for cutting foam, all different shapes. I even have a custom one that I got done from them. They don't do this often, but they did for me for a shrimp that I created. So go check these out if you haven't already. They're a really great option for cutting foam. Otherwise, you can just hand cut it. It'll work. Just makes quick work of it, and it's nice. And it is the I guess the extra small, I think it's called, or the XX small it might have been. It's the smallest size that they offer, and this will tie down to a size 16, maybe 18 fly. Otherwise, then you'll have to hand cut it. I think this is the smallest one that you can get. If you haven't already, definitely check out my sponsor, Risen Fly. They're the ones that make these hooks. That's not why I use the hooks. I use the hooks because they're high quality hooks. And they're really good price, by the way. Really, really good price. I think you can get 25 in a pack. And I haven't checked their price in a while, but I want to say they're in the $4 range. And they're high quality, barbless. They have some barbed too, if you want that, but they're super sharp, really strong hooks. Hard to beat. Really, really good price for their hooks. And they make other stuff too. They make rods, reels, pretty much anything that you need, line, fly line and all that. Anything you need to go out and fly fish, really, they carry it. So, and they manufacture all their own stuff. So their prices are very reasonable. Plus, you guys get a discount. So type in McFly at checkout on your first order and get 15% off of anything you buy. Again, only on your first order. After that, then you can sign up for their mailing list. Sometimes they send out coupons and stuff, and that'll help too. And sometimes it's 15% off too. So up to you on that, but definitely check them out. Save yourself some money and get some high quality gear. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you guys on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.